Here is something crazy. You can triple how fluent you sound in English without learning a new word. Sounds impossible? It isn't. Because fluency isn't always about vocabulary or accent. It is about connectors. And this is what we are going to learn today. So I'll train you on professional connectors and why they are so important for you to make your English sound impactful. Now these connectors actually, which are called professional connectors, they'll make your English sound fluent. Connectors are the bridges between two ideas. When you present your ideas, you need a word actually that joins two ideas and makes your English influential and impactful. And this is what connectors do. So you're going to master this secret weapon and you will learn 40 different connectors. And not only that, you'll also learn how to bridge the gap between two ideas. And this is what we are going to do today. So be with me till the very end. But let's find out why connectors matter. Now these matter because they are like bridge words. As I told you, now these are the bridge words. That means if you have two ideas and you want to connect these ideas, don't always put the full stop. Don't always put the comma. You can put connector. That makes sense and makes your English much better. Okay, and this is what we are going to learn how to do that. Suppose you have a disconnected thought and then you want to make it very impactful. So what you do is just add connector and it will make it very coherent. Okay, and this is what you're going to achieve today. So it will enhance your professionalism, it will make you more persuasive. Most importantly, it will boost your confidence. And last but far from the least, this is a connector. You will avoid choppiness, right? And this is what we are going to do. Now, I'll show you how it matters and how it will make your English sound more fluent. So I'll show you example 1 of professional A. When he says, we should launch next month. The market is good. The product is ready. There is no connector, no conjunction. You see, and then the thing is, the message is clear, but it lacks depth. And also, it lacks strategic thinking. Now, on the other hand, I show you professional B. He says the same idea. Look at this idea. We should launch next month because the market is ready. Additionally, this is connector, a conjunction or an adverb. Additionally, this timing gives us an advantage over competitors. Finally, but not the least, or last but not the least, or last but far from the least, the product is ready for market launch. Now, it's the same idea, but there is strategic depth into it. And it also shows logical thinking and planning. But more importantly, it makes you sound confident and competent. And this is what we are going to master today. So to begin with, what I'll do is, I'll tell you what kind of connectors are there. There are different kinds of connectors and which are these connectors. And they are all important. So you can make short note on your notebook. So I would request you, please sit with a notebook and a pen and keep jotting it down. So first of all, we'll learn about the contrast connector. Now, as the name suggests, contrast means opposite. So if you look at these examples, these are the common contrast connectors. Like for example, we have a connector however, or we have nevertheless means fir bhi. Okay, or we have on the other hand, dusri taraf. So there is a contrast between two ideas. I hope you can see that. Yet, fir bhi. Now, whenever you want to show contrast between two ideas, you can always use them. I'll show you with the help of examples. For example, you want to show the contrast between two ideas. So you say, that's a valid concern. You're saying yes to it. However, now this is just the opposite idea. The data tells a different story. Similarly, you can use it in the beginning. On the other hand, we could wait until the pilot succeeds. Or you can say, the product is strong. Nevertheless, the timing may not be ideal. Now, all these statements, they're showing the contrast. And that's very important. When you want to show the contrast, use contrast connectors. Now, suppose you want to add the idea. You don't want to show contrast. What do? Very simple. Take another category, addition connectors. Okay, now these are connectors which actually add information. They don't show contrast and they show clarity also. Okay, so some common connectors are and, also, moreover, furthermore, in addition to, what's more, not only but also. That's a good one, but always whenever you are using these, okay, these are called coordinate conjunctions as well. When you are using them, please be mindful of the placing. I've written it here. You have to be very, very particular about placement. They have to be placed before the part of speech that modifies both actually. So you have to be very particular on that. So you can use all these common connectors. I'll show you some example how you can add information with the help of these connectors. For example, you can say, iske alawa when you want to say, moreover, additionally, and also, you can all use these connectors. For example, you can say, moreover, we increase market share. In addition to revenue, it enhances brand image. You can say, what's more, the client requested this feature. You can also say, not only did we complete the project ahead of time, but also reduce cost by 15%. So you are using this not only but also, and here actually we have used the inversion. I'll tell you about it some other day. But when we use not only in the beginning, this helping verb, even in the affirmative, will come before the subject. This in English is called inversion. Addition connectors, what they do is, they build the structure like this. So what you will have? You have a main point and then you have an additional information. So when you combine these with a connector, your message is completed. And this is how you create impact. So that's why I said connectors are very, very important. Let's go to the next one, which are the cause and effect. As the name suggests, one is the cause, the other is the effect. So you have cause effect connectors like because, therefore. Now, if you look at this because, it is telling the reason. You'll always have the reason after because. But when you say therefore, you'll have the result after it. As a result also, you will have a result after it. Hence, you will have a result after it. Okay. But in due to, you will have reason. And we also can use since sometime instead of because. So these are cause and effect connectors. Remember that. Okay. Now, it explains results, decisions or problems, answering why. Why did it happen? So, in both actually cause and effect, there is a cause, there is an effect, and then there is a connector. Sometimes connector can also come before a particular clause. Okay. Now, these are some of the professional examples that you can use. So, you can say, the system crashed. Why? Give the reason with a connector. What is the connector conjunction here? Because. The system crashed because of outdated software. Now, this is the result. And this is the reason. Now, look at this. Now, here is the result. So, this is the result. Okay. But what is this? This is reason. Okay. Now, look at this connector. So, here it will all be reversed. So, we increase marketing spend. As a result, sales jumped. So, here the result is coming later on. Here the result is coming first. And this is what connectors will do. So, you have to be very mindful of it, which connector you are using and what should come where. Right? Therefore, so that means if therefore is there, you will show why. Therefore, we recommend a phase rollout. This is the result. So, if you look at this, therefore, we have therefore, we'll have a result after it. Okay. So, therefore, we recommend the phase rollout and then due to the reason. What is the reason? Unforeseen circumstances, unforeseen issues will delay the launch. Here is the result. So, in this particular kind of connector, which is cause and effect connector, you have to be very mindful which one to use where. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now these show comparison. Comparison between two statements. So, these comparisons can also be the same kinds of things, like similarly, in the same way, okay, like or likewise, and it can also be opposite, like unlike, in contrast, compared to. So, if you look at same way, can you tell me which are the ones actually that tell you the same idea? Like similarly, like likewise, like in the same way. But if you look at these three, they give you just the opposite idea. No? So, you can use these connectors. Okay, for example, you can always have this here in practice. Similarly, the HR strategy should mirror last year's success, or in contrast, just opposite to that. Okay, so you can have a statement here. In contrast of that, this smaller firms prefer flexible pricing. compared to our competitors. So there is a comparison. Our delivery time is faster. So now it is plain compared to shows comparison actually. Unlike gives opposite idea. Unlike other tools, this one integrates automatically. Now, this is why it again is a very, very important connector. Okay, let's go to the next one, which is emphasis connector. As the name suggests, it emphasizes a particular idea. You've already given the statement, but you want to put more force into it. So, there are some wonderful connectors. These are common emphasis connectors like in fact, indeed, above all, spatially, significantly, most importantly. So, what you're doing here, you're using these connectors to highlight the key points. And they are very, very good during presentations. When you're making presentations, when you're writing reports, you have to use these connectors. So, our clients have already confirmed repeat orders. In fact, our clients have already confirmed repeat orders. Look at now the difference between the two. This is a simple statement, same idea. You just used a connector. Okay? And then you stress the idea. Look at the other one. Communication builds culture. Simple one. Indeed, communication builds culture. It stresses the idea. Again, the new process cuts manual work by 40%. Now, put some connector which emphasizes the idea significantly. The new process cuts manual work by 40%. So, that means you are saying that this is a significant reduction. Again, you can say, we must keep the customer experience consistent. Very simple. But then put the connector. Above all. So, you give 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, and then you say, above all. Sabse badi baat. Though you are saying it at the end, but you are saying above all, we must keep the customer experience consistent. They are very, very important. Okay, these emphasis connectors. Now, let's go to the next one, sequence and time connectors. So, they will tell you the sequence of a particular thought pattern. So, you can have one idea, then another idea, then another idea, and they are used at different time also. So, they can be different time connectors also. Okay, so I'll first show you the sequence, how the sequencing is done, and then I'll show you the example, right? Now, suppose you want to put an idea, so you will always use this connector first. This is a connector. And then you will put this, the next. Meanwhile, that can be third. And then afterwards, and then finally. So, this is how the flow goes. When you're writing a paragraph or writing an essay also, or writing a long report, you do the same thing. So, you start with first of all. Sometimes you also use firstly. Okay, you also said to begin with, all these are sequential connectors because it is showing the sequence. No? Now, here you can have some past sequences also, like firstly, secondly, next, then, and then present one, before that, meanwhile, earlier, afterwards. And then we can have future sequences like आगे क्या होने वाला है, what next, subsequently, eventually, finally, last but not the least. And then usage context, like these are the contexts that you can use them in. You can use in project timelines, you can use in process explanation, meeting updates, storytelling. Very important. They're used a lot in storytelling. Okay, by the way. Let's find them in action. Okay. First, let's review last quarter's result. The first one. Okay, so this comes in this category, the past one. Now, the present one. Next. And then this is the future one. Next, we'll discuss challenges. And finally, we'll set action items. Now, look at this one, the meanwhile, which will come somewhere here, the present sequence. The app crashed. Meanwhile, is Doran, the support team fixed the bug. So, this actually is the present one. Okay, this present sequence, like what happened when it happened. Okay, so you can use all these beautifully. In storytelling, they really work wonder. So, now there are some connectors which are used when you are quoting an example. So, when you quote an example or some kind of clarification also, you can use connectors. Can you tell me some connectors used while, and you use a lot, like one connector which can be used to quote example. For example, okay, so you can use for example, for instance, namely, like, to illustrate, in other words, that is, such as, especially, To put it simply, all these are called example and clarification connectors. Okay, again, you have an abstract concept and you want to make it concrete. Just put connectors. And it's very, very simple. Okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to use them like this. We need soft skills training. For example, now give the example on communication and empathy. Our top three markets, namely, here you tell the name, namely India, Singapore, and UAE, are growing fast. Okay, next one. In other words, now here what you are doing, you are giving clarification. This is called clarification connector. In other words, we must focus on quality, not quantity. So we have to focus on quality, not quantity. Especially, you are emphasizing, okay, here, this will help the mid-management layer communicate better. To put it simply, you are simplifying it. Again, another connector. Okay, so you can use all these connectors. Now, what these connectors do, they make your English sound fluent and impactful. Okay, now summarizing and transition connectors are again very, very important. Okay, so what you do when you end your report or your presentation, you use this connector. Like you say, to end it up, to sum it up, to summarize. So you use this. These are called summarizing connectors. Like in summary, overall, to sum it up, to conclude in a nutshell. And when you want to show transition from one idea to another idea, from one particular point to another point, you can use this transition connectors like moving on, by the way, anyway, all in all. You can use these transition connectors. For example, you can say, to sum up, clear communication drive results. All in all, the campaign was a success. Or you can say, moving on, that is transition. Let's discuss our next quarter targets. By the way, has the client shared feedback yet? So you can use all these connectors here, right? Hope you find all these useful, but the important thing would be how you use them. The last one perhaps is the condition connector. Okay, now all these connectors, they put some kind of condition. So we have conditional connectors like if, unless, until. Okay, now sometimes even the time comes like when. Okay, there is another important one on condition that this is also condition connector, as long as, in case. Okay, so it makes you sound professional and precise, and it also reflects clarity and confidence. Okay, for example, if the budget is approved, we'll proceed. So what is the condition? Budget approval. So you put the connector. You can access the report. This is not the condition. So the condition will come once you have used the connector, provided that. Now this is the condition. Okay, we can achieve targets as long as the team stays aligned. This is the condition. So you'll see that after the condition connector, the condition will come. Unless we act now, competitors will overtake. With unless, we don't use not, because unless means if not. Okay. Yeah. Now comes the most important part. How to implement. So I'm going to give you the implementation strategy. Now, instead of rote memorization, okay, because if you try to cram these will not be of much use. What you need to do, you need to build habits. You have to bring it into your habit, into your language when you're using it. Okay, so once you do that, you will find gradually your English is changing, your level is changing, your communication is becoming more impactful. So what you can do, you can take weekly focus approach, right? So like in week 1, you can take these contrast. In week 2, you can take addition. In week 3, you can take cause and effect. And in week 4, you can take comparison. So every week, take one kind of connector and try to use it in your language. And you'll find the change yourself. It's going to definitely work a lot. And if you want to know more about these kind of things and stuff which is very, very practical to make you very good communicator in English, an extraordinary communicator, you can take my free masterclass, Triple E Masterclass. The link is in the description. And by the way, if you like the video, don't forget to share it with your friends. And of course, subscribe the channel for more such sessions. For now, I'll thank you all for being patient with me and giving me a patient hearing. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye. Take care.